Thanks so much, and thanks to everyone that's joining us here today and the illustrious panel. It's an honor to be here and talk about an important issue. Obviously, it's they've already just came out with the names for these storms. So, as part of the lead for KW's claims team, we want to make sure that you understand this integrated service and the value add that we bring to your associations. We have the experience that's necessary in order to navigate the new insurance process, and it's certainly new. There's a lot of nuances and new policy forms, endorsements, statutes, legislation, and other things that you need to understand and how to navigate as a fiduciary and as you work with your board members through making decisions that are going to most certainly impact the financial success or failure of your association. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of this information with you all. As we have managed more than $1 billion of the loss, we've handled thousands of community associations claims, and we look forward to providing you insight into what is going on in the insurance industry. Well, ensuring access, I mean, functionality is of the utmost importance, obviously, and focusing on that, ensuring that that plan includes a comprehensive plan for gaining access to every single room in your building is important. And I mean room, including the units themselves. Particularly if you have a lot of out-of-town residents that this is not their primary residence, waiting for them to get back and assess the situation in their own unit is not an appropriate action when dealing with this type of loss. It only fester itself and get worse. So we want to make sure we've access. Probably one of the number one things that we run into on the claim side of things is a lack of access. So we want to make sure that there's a comprehensive plan there, whether it's getting keys, getting permissions, if there's digital components that restrict access, if there's power in the building, those things will limit it. Making sure that you understand where every door and every lock is, and making sure that you have what you need in order to be able to get through those doors, to be able to assess a situation quite quickly. You see some massive disasters, as you mentioned, George, the hurricanes, where entire balcony areas were missing from buildings, but they actually could not get through the door of the units to go in there in order to do any sort of emergency mitigation. So access is very important. It can become very costly if not. And I know that's and it's definitely a safety component as well. Safety first, obviously making sure everyone's healthy and safe, and access is a big part of that. The first thing that comes to mind, and most people talk about it, so I'll might as well just mention it, is documenting the current condition of the property. The thing is that's usually a lot of talk and a lot less action. And oftentimes when we ask for, hey, do you have any photographs, videos, or anything of the property prior to the storm, we get 3 or 4 pictures, maybe some narrative video, which is worse than anything that you could probably provide me. And because, again, a video is difficult because you have to watch it, you have to go through it. It takes an enormous amount of time to kind of get to where you need to be, or get the information you need. And also providing a narrative is unnecessary, and it can usually lead to some issues in the claims process themselves. Maybe you stated somewhere, or someone states something that's not entirely factually true, or it can be taken out of context. Photographs are the number one thing. Document the current condition of the property, but truly do it, and try to get to every single fenestration opening, meaning windows or doors. Try to get on every balcony. Try to take every elevation picture. Get on top of the roof. Get to the highest point of the roof. If you have access to drone services and things like that, making sure that you take some aerial pictures of it is really, really important. Also, too, if you have mechanical systems inside your property, take pictures of the readouts on those things so that you know where the kind of like the normal situation would be, where the pressure should be, where the temperature should be. If those things start to show some erratic readings or whatever else, that may be a telltale sign that there's an issue there early on in the claims process, so we can immediately notice it. Separate from just simply documenting the current condition of the property, the number 2 thing I think is most important is getting an actual copy of your insurance policy. Most people think that's just simply by making a phone call or sending an email or text message over to the broker, and they send you a copy of a policy. What we're talking about is the certified copy of the policy. Very different than a copy of a policy from a broker. A certified copy of policy, if you use those words when making the request to your broker or wholesaler or to the insurance company directly, will actually come with a signed, sworn statement from the insurance company swearing to the fact that this is your full and complete policy. That is more important today than ever. Now, I've been saying this for almost 15 plus years to associations that they need to obtain this type of policy. But oddly enough, when I was once upon saying it, there was very few endorsements or additional limitations in the policies that we were looking at. Nowadays, most of your policies are comprised of endorsements, meaning that there's all of these additional forms with all these different codes and limitations, and you need to make sure that you have all of them. And guess what? If they send you a certified copy of the policy and it excludes one of those endorsements, well, what the law says is that then they can't enforce that limitation or exclusion. Now, they may try to, obviously, but the reality of it is that you have asked them to swear to the fact that this is a full and complete copy. Well, with the delays in getting your policies these days, it's really important to make this request up front and immediately when placing your insurance. You shouldn't wait for storm season. This is if you're having any sort of renewal or you're waiting for your upcoming renewal the next month or two, go ahead and ask for this year's certified copy. Go through the process of it. The first copy should always be free. Some insurance companies, if they're wholesaling the product, whatever else, may charge you for a second copy. But when you get it, the next thing is make a copy of it and store it electronically, digitally, so everybody has access to it. Because again, that is the holy grail right there of coverages, the financial tool that you purchase that you're spending an enormous amount of money today for, and also covers less. It's important that you have an actual copy of it so that you can understand or have what you need in order to be able to get coverage when you have those damages. I think those are probably the two most important. I know we're going to cover a lot of things here, George, so I don't want to take too much of the microphone and whatever else, but I think those are the two top items. I would say when you're doing this planning process, document the current condition of property and making sure you have a certified copy of it is really, really important. The last piece is education, and I'll leave on this, is that making sure that you spend time at one of your upcoming board meetings at some point in time talking about what type of insurance you have, coverages, the limitations between an association's coverage versus a unit owner coverage, particularly if you have tenants in your building. They're usually the ones that cause the most problems for us when dealing with access and coverage and issues and damage and reconstruction and rebuilding. And I will tell you, in recent history, we've dealt with a lot of issues when dealing with tenant-occupied units. So it's important that you get that information out, post the meetings, detail the meetings, and then make sure that the information is disseminated and out to the unit owners. Communication is key, not only before the loss, obviously after the claim, but we usually see that communication kind of fall off as we're heading into the season and a lack of updates and information as it goes through renewals. But it's really important that you educate your unit owners and your board members as property managers, if you're listening, making sure that they're aware of what coverage they have, who the insurance company's with, and some of those details. And it's because we all evacuate. We all leave the building, the premises, whatever else. Or if we don't, maybe some people do, and that person that does is the one with the knowledge, information, and knows where to get it and everything else. Everyone should be understand what the plan is, where to get that information. Again, all part of education. First one is communication. Reality versus the plan. There's a lack of access to internet may cripple your ability to be able to send emails or text messages. I know there's a lot of community association WhatsApp chat groups out there. While sometimes we hate them or love them, that could be a means during a storm to create one. If you do have updated and accurate contact information for your unit owners, just the speed of communication and getting to them, particularly for out of town unit owners or tenants that leave and evacuate. I think the idea of reality versus the plan itself, in testing it and having that plan B for getting the communications out and make sure that you're in touch and they can reach you as well, because these concerned unit owners and as well as tenants are entitled to information in the moment and want updates. And it's very nerve-wracking. Just put your step into their shoes. It'd be very nerve-wracking as a unit owner not to know what the current condition of the property. Particularly, we've had instances where a building appeared on the local news or actually on national news in one instance, and several unit owners were able to identify their units, which were heavily damaged, but they could not get a hold of the manager. They couldn't get a hold of the board members, and they were really panicking about what was going on. So just making sure you have some alternative ways in which to communicate because if one isn't working, having an efficient way of doing it another way. I think that also goes for the staff, as managers and board members, making sure you can communicate effectively with Sherwin and other people that may be on the ground and helping, because maybe you need a contractor to help you do something and you can't get a hold of the one that you signed that agreement with that said they would be there 72 hours, and you need you need a plan B. So being able to connect into your network should be part of the communication, and making sure that you can do that. Again, reality versus the actual plan itself. Collection of incurred expenses. Sherwin mentioned many things about things that may cost money today in order to prepare the building in the event that something would occur. Some of those were just some things that you should just basically do year round. Others were stuff that you do in the immediate run up to a categoric storm that may devastate an area. In that situation, as you run up to a storm, those costs could and most often should be recoverable if your property sustains a covered loss. Okay, so which is a very, very important issue. And the collection of incurred expenses is really more just a collection of just data and information following a storm. What is the current condition and status of the property, but also what are you doing and what is it costing you to do these things in order to be able to mitigate your issues. So it's the run up of the storm, and it's also the immediate mitigation where we see a lot of problems. Now, I know I've seen KW's plans and the boilerplates and the things that we see in there, and I know it talks about it. I see Sherman shaking his head there. But but there's a difference between the reality, the plan itself, and the reality of the situation is that take action, be proactive about it, and literally you should have a storm folder. The moment that storm starts to threat, you're in the cone, and you start to see overtime is a big one that gets missed a lot, and then we're going back and trying to put records together and figure out who was there, who wasn't there. And don't expect it just to be your A player. Sometimes your A player is the first one to leave. Maybe it's your B player. So don't make assumptions about who's actually going to stick around for this thing. But also making sure that you have a process for checking your staff in and out of the property, as well as your unit owners or tenants or whatever is going on, and keeping record of those things, because it's important to know what is going on at the property at a time, particularly if you have limited communication abilities. But those expenses can be tremendous and also be a shortfall. And with shortened statute of limitations, which I know, Georgia, we're going to get to in a moment's time, it's really important that you get this information sooner rather than later with today's insurance market and where kind of how the claims are being managed and handled by these insurance companies. So making sure that expenses, those extra sandbags, the garbage bags, the PPE gear, the face mask, the gloves, all of these small little things. You run to Home Depot to pick up an extra bottle of Windex or cleaning solution. Keep that receipt, mark it, who bought it, why do they buy it, what is it for? Write it right on there, and then scan it, copy, take a picture of your phone, make a digital copy of it, and then have an electronic folder and have a physical folder for all of those expenses. What I recommend is on the physical folder, right on the back, start making a ledger. And then when you have a chance, sit down and then transpose that ledger into some sort of Excel spreadsheet or some Google Docs, which are even better, because you can immediately share that Google Doc with so many different people. So these are kind of all those strategies. I know I'm throwing a lot of different things at you, but that expense, should you have a covered loss, like a hurricane, and blown out windows or whatever it may be from those storms, whether it's dry or wet, can be recoverable and should be recoverable, included in the claim, including the overtime hours that your staff puts in to protect your building and to assist you in recovering from it. So again, that's probably one of the biggest issues. Those two are the biggest issues we see: communication and the collection of incurred expenses. While both of them are definitely in the plan, the reality of the situation sometimes is that we get busy, we forget, we don't do something, or we don't have access to something. It's making sure that we have a plan B there or a strategy to dealing with that situation.